Okay, today we're going to be practicing drawing some of our facial features here. So hopefully we can, by going off the proportion sheets, we can start to get our drawings into the correct proportion and get things in the right place. And then once you get things in the right place, only then start adding in a detail, okay? So I'm going to do this, I think, by drawing a face. I think I'm going to post another one, maybe not. Scratch that. I'm going to start just by drawing a face, and I think what I'll do is I'll just add in detail to eyes and nose and mouth at the same time, okay? So we'll start with a loose oval shape, kind of like so. It's best to start with something nice and loose like this rather than starting, say, with like a really hard shape like that, because then you're kind of committed to that line here. So keep things nice and loose and scratchy, and I think it'll kind of come out easier. So we'll do that. I'm going to make a line going through the head top to bottom, and then also I'm going to have one going down vertically like so. And what this will do is, by having the line going down vertically, I can keep my nose and my mouth centered on my face, and I can keep my eyes centered on my face, and then I have the line here for my eyes. So I'm going to start this. Now, the first step in this is just getting things in proportion, so I'm not going to worry about detail yet. I'm just going to start by kind of blocking in some shapes for where my eyes are going to be, and I'm just keeping these almost like rectangles for right now, and comparing the space in between my eyes to the size of my eyes to the space around my eyes over here. So I might come in a little bit over there. I'm going to go ahead and throw in some loose, blocky eyebrow lines here. And then once I have that, I'm going to go from eyebrows down to where my chin is, which is somewhere around here. Halfway between eyebrows to chin is going to be the bottom of my nose. So I'm going to do that by first just estimating. And I'm going to kind of look in here, and I think probably about like that. And then once I have made my estimate, I can double check that by putting my pencil right so that the eraser is right on the line that I just drew. And I can put my thumb and my forefingers right on eyebrow. And then I can bring that down here and see if that lines up. And it's pretty close, so I'm going to go with that. So that is good for the length of our nose, and the width of it is about the same width as a space between your eyes. So I can almost just kind of make lines coming down like that, which I can then erase, but just to give you a sense of where things are going to be. So now I've got kind of like 3/4 of a rectangle down here for my nose, which is good enough for now. Now I'm going to go halfway between nose to chin, and I'm going to make another line. And I'm going to measure that to see if that is indeed the same, which looks pretty good. So this line is going to be the bottom of the lower lip, okay? So I'm going to start by drawing my lips kind of on top of that. I'm kind of just doing the width of my lips by, I'm kind of just doing them, not really measuring off of anything right now. I'm going to show you what you can look at to measure off of in a minute here, but I'm kind of just throwing them in there for right now. So now I've got chin, I've got nose, mouth, eyes, all that good stuff. I'm going to quickly kind of throw in some ears. Your ears are about the height of the distance between eyebrow to chin. So they're pretty tall, but they do not stick out wide. So when you make your ears, don't go like these big, crazy ears like that, okay? Your ears, you only really see a kind of small sliver of them when you are looking at yourself head on. So for right now, I'm just going to keep this kind of a simple shape like that. And I'm going to start to kind of block in some hair. So your hair typically goes in front of your ears like so, so kind of in between ear and eye. I'll come here, and I'm just going to kind of loosely give this guy a cool haircut here, and I'll probably come back to that later. All right, so now I've got the beginnings of a face here. We've got hair, we've got nose, we've got eyes, all that good stuff. I can look at it now, before I've done anything with detail. I've got just these kind of blocky shapes, but I can start to get the sense that this is a human. And that's what you want to have. You want to have the sense that you're looking at a human person and not like a weird alien creature before you start adding in detail, because it always pains me to see like a really beautifully drawn nose that's just totally in the wrong spot. So we've got something like this. Let's see here. Let me do that. Okay, so I'm going to start probably with my nose first. So I've got this kind of shape like that kind of 3/4 of a rectangle. So I'm going to do that a little bigger right here. When you draw the nose, you really mainly want to draw the bottom part of the nose where your nostrils are. So in general, the way that your nose is shaped is you got like the big kind of schnoz part of your nose, which is like a big circle here. And then you've got two little circles on the sides over here, okay? So you've got a little circle here for nostril, the big schnoz part, and then another little circle for the nostril. And then the way that you draw this is you're just going to darken in on the side where the nostrils meet the skin. And then you're going to darken in, it's almost like a slight teardrop shape where the nostrils are here. And then depending on the shape of the nose that you're drawing, that might be rounded. It might be more pointy. So that might change a little bit, but I'm just kind of keeping it this kind of a nose. When you look at your nose, that shape of this might change a little bit. But again, so I'm keeping the bottom part here dark. I'm darkening a little bit more here and here to keep the where the nostrils are. And then I'm just going to kind of come out of that over on this side, and I'm going to darken it over here. Typically, you'll see shading in. You'll see like areas to add shadow in are like kind of on the sides here where the nostrils meet your face. And then also underneath, you'll probably see some. So, and again, remember, we talked about these as being circles, right? So if they're circles, they're going to have shadows. You're basically just like your egg. You basically have an egg here, and an egg here. So you're going to have shadows on the underside over here. And then we can start to kind of erase some of these up over here. But it'll be something kind of like that when you make a nose. So with that said, I'm going to put a nose in over my guy over here. And I'm probably going to draw him a little bit faster on here. So I'm just going to kind of he'll have this nose kind of shape over here. And then we're just kind of darkening in like so. And I'm going to add a little bit of shading on here. The hard part about a nose is that there are no lines on it. So it's all just round forms. So to make it look three-dimensional, you have to use shading. You can't really do much with line. I'm going to imagine this guy as kind of being lit by, there's a light on the side of his face and more shadow over here. So I'm going to basically just kind of extend my shadow up of my nose here to kind of show how the nose is higher, and then it drops down to where my cheek is. When you're drawing your self-portrait, so light yourself from one side so that you see a strong light on one side and strong shadow on the other. It'll just make things easier on you. So that'll be kind of like that. Now, once we have something in for the nose, I'm going to draw in lips next. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw in what I'm going to do when I draw my lip is I'm going to start with my upper lip. And I'm just going to start by shading. Your upper lip is kind of like it's kind of like an M or like a really bad flying bird kind of a shape. Actually, I'll draw one over here. So let's say that that's the bottom of our lip. So I'm just going to start by making, if I just have the bottom of my bottom lip, I'm just going to kind of start by making this sort of like loose boat shape. And then I'm going to make this kind of loose squished M shape where it's up, down, over here. Or like when I was saying like the bird, like those birds, like the way they used to draw birds in kindergarten where it's kind of like that. And we're going to start by just kind of shading in on those lips. Your upper lip tends to be in shadow, and your lower lip tends to be in light. Because if you're looking at yourself from the side, where you go to draw in your lips, your upper lip comes down like so, and then your lip kind of comes across like that, and then your lower lip sticks out like that, and then your chin would be down here. So your upper lip, because it goes in, typically your upper lip is a little bit darker. So we'll be kind of shading in like that. When you draw on the line in between your upper and lower lip, look at it in the mirror when you do this, okay? Because it's never going to be just a straight line. You're going to see that it probably, like I know, I think it differs for everybody, but for me, and I'm just going to kind of draw mine from memory. It kind of starts flat and then it goes up a little bit, and then it kind of comes down, and then it goes back up a little bit, and then it kind of comes down again. So it's kind of like that. And then typically your lips are going to be the darkest at the corners. So we'll just kind of darken in the most at the corners. And then we can kind of add a little bit of shading here. When it gets to the lower lip, you might want to just kind of lightly drag your pencil over the crop of it. But the main thing you want to get for this is to draw, and you should see a slight shadow directly under your lower lip. Make sure that you have a nice even value for this. If you keep it like really scribbly like that, it's going to look like you have a soul patch, I think they used to call those back in the 90s. So you don't want to give yourself that. So it'll be something kind of like that. Sometimes you'll see a little bit of shading coming out of the corners of your mouth. So here we've got lips here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add in the same thing over here. So I'm just going to start by darkening in this shape of my upper lip on here. And kind of coming over. And again, we talked about where I said I was going to come back and tell you like where to make the width of your lips, and I will. I'll get to that. So we'll have like a little bit of shadow underneath our lips here. I'm just going to kind of erase that line there. So I'll have a little bit of shading in here. I'll have a little bit of shading underneath my face over here. Now, let's get up here to those eyes. So I kind of blocked out these little rectangle shapes on here. So let's go back to our sheet over here. And I'm going to put in an eye. I guess I'll do it down here. So let's say you've got something, you got that kind of rectangular shape on here. Let's imagine that your nose is on this side, okay? So again, everybody's eye is a little bit different. But when you look at it, your eyes don't look like footballs, okay? They're not shaped like this, where you've got like an eyelid here and an eyelid here. It's going to look kind of cartoonish if you make them like that. Your eyes they tend to go, if this is the inside of an eye, they tend to kind of go up a little steeper at first, and then they kind of have a nice smooth slope down on the other side, almost like a wave where it's up steep and then smooth and slow back. And then again, if you look at the way that I'm drawing my lines, there's not a confident line in here. It's all just kind of loose and scribbly because I don't know where I'm going to put stuff yet. So it takes time to figure that out. And so I'm just keeping it nice and loose. Your lower eyelid tends to be fairly flat, and depending, again, this is kind of dependent on the person, but you might only really see stuff to draw on the inside part. So the parts that are like, if the nose is on this side, on the inside parts over here. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to kind of continue that around over here. And then I'm going to make my eye in here. When you put your eye in, basically just make sure that your upper eyelid is overlapping the circle part of your eye, and the bottom part of that circle can kind of just touch your lower eyelid, but the upper part of your iris should be overlapped by your eyelid. If it doesn't, if you have white space above the iris, you look like you've just seen a ghost, like you're very shocked or scared. So unless that's the look you're going for, have the eye overlap like that. So it's going to be kind of like so, and here, and then we'll just kind of darken in here, okay? Typically, your cornea of your eye is also a sphere, so you could kind of darken in a little bit on here. I would keep your irises just kind of like dark shapes for now. You can kind of start to come in and darken in areas where a pupil might be, but I wouldn't stress out about giving yourself a lot of detail there. Don't stress out about giving yourself eyelashes. I wouldn't really worry about that. Most important is just kind of getting things in the right place, okay? So if that's our eye, let's go ahead, not that one, let's go ahead and throw that in over here. So if this is our face here, so we'll have coming up. And I'm just going to have a little eyelid coming down, and we'll have the iris is going to be about here, and then that, and I'm just going to kind of block stuff in. Now, when I was talking about the width of your eyes, typically, or no, sorry, the width of your lips, typically that the corners of your lips kind of line up with the inside edge of your iris. It's not exact. And if you're looking slightly to the left or right, it's definitely not going to line up. But if you're looking dead ahead, it's pretty close. If it doesn't look, if you're looking at yourself and it doesn't look exactly like that, draw it how you see it. But it's a good way of troubleshooting where if it's nowhere near, if the side of your mouth comes out to here and you look at it and it's like nowhere near the edge of the iris, you know you've done something wrong. So it's a good way of troubleshooting. So again, I'm just going to come in, darken in, and let's throw our other eye over here. And then again, I'm kind of going back and forth between the eye that I just drew to make sure that the heights of my eyelids are roughly the same. And again, I can look at edge of the iris, come down, and it kind of lines up pretty well. Come over here, darken in this. We don't need to see a ton of detail on these eyes. Like, eyelashes are overrated. You really don't need to have them in there. But it's much more important to make sure that things are in the right place and the right size and get shading on things. So if that's there, then we'll throw in some, I'll kind of darken in where my eyebrows are on here. So kind of like that, and that just kind of follow your eyebrow. And if you have shadow on one side of where your nose is over here, it kind of follows. It kind of runs right into the line of where your eyebrow is. And I'm just going to keep this spot underneath my eyes a little bit darkened in because your eyes are pushed back into your head a little bit. So because of that, it's a little bit more in shadow on that side. And I can start to kind of come over here and add in a little bit of shadow on the side of his face. Remember, your head, one big egg. So if the light's hitting over here, this whole part over here is going to be in shadow. So I can add in a little bit of shading in here. You can add in a little bit of shading in that little part. I don't know what you call that part of your face, but in between your nose and your lips, you have that little divot there. Don't really draw lines there. If you just kind of darken it on one side, it should make sense. Let me draw in eyebrows over here. In your final project, you're making a self-portrait while wearing a hat. And part of the reason why I'm having you do that is because drawing hair is complicated. And we're not going to stress out about things that are complicated that don't have much to do with getting your facial features in the right place. So what I'm most interested in is that we're getting everything kind of in the right place over here. But if you go to do hair, like even if you're drawing, even if you have a hat on, you're still going to see some hair. So try to just keep it not like you're drawing like strands of hair, but just like keeping it, if it's on the side where your things are in shadow, just kind of keeping it a nice dark tone on here, a nice dark even value, and kind of continuing that up across over here. And I'm just going to kind of keep it nice and dark going all the way across right now. All right. I'm not going to stress out too much about hair, though. Keep the hair simple. One thing I forgot to tell you guys, though, is your neck. So many times I've seen people make drawings of nice-looking faces, and they're on teensy-weensy little skinny necks that could never support that head. So to make sure you know where to put your neck, typically, in general, your neck is about, if you kind of look at where the edges of the outside edges of your eyes, kind of typically you can imagine a straight line coming down from that spot, and your neck kind of comes out of that. So if you imagine a straight line coming down from the edge of your eye over here, your neck would kind of come out right around in there, okay? So that should be roughly around the width of your neck. Again, I'll add on a little bit of shadow on this side over here. And hopefully this will help you guys out when you go in to start drawing in your features and also getting things in perspective. All right, thank you very much.